All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Talon Muse. This is the first edition in the program of Scout Nebraska. And so I'm making this video today, just kind of do an introduction of the program, as well as kind of what we're already seeing here at the beginning of April, kind of right at the start of planting season. And so today I am at a rye cover crop field that should be going into corn. And so this grower actually let me have a field day out here just a couple weeks ago to talk about termination of cover crops and some wheat stem maggot issues that we saw last year. And so in 2025, it was kind of maybe the second year really in Nebraska's recent history of having an outbreak of wheat stem maggot. The other one may be, I believe the year was 2017. That was before I kind of started with Nebraska Extension. And so, but just last year, we did see a handful of fields in especially central and south central Nebraska really get hit by wheat stem maggot, which is a fly. It has a larva that goes and feeds on wheat or rye. And what happened last year is the conditions were just right that when growers went to terminate their rye, those maggots, those larvae, moved from the rye onto their corn. And then what those maggots do, they burrow into the side of the stalk or stem kind of at that point and go straight to that growing point region. And because that growing point region is just really easy for them to feed on. And so when they do that, they impact the growth of that corn plant, obviously, and it really starts to tiller because it doesn't have kind of like that apical dominance that growing point gives. And so it starts to tiller. Those plants end up being stunted. They don't grow very well, and they may not even put on an ear. We did have some research testing the impact on yields last year. That data is coming. We saw pretty large significances between different fields, depending on severity and growth stage of that corn that got impacted. Sometimes they put on an ear, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they put on like a small little half ear. And so it's really kind of important to do that. And so I'm sitting in my car right now. I am going to switch you from a view of being there looking at me to this little gadget that I have here that I'm going to clip on my hat. And then we're going to go out to this field and we're going to see what we can find. What we're going to be doing today is taking a sweep net, and we're going to be sweep netting 5 different locations. They do 5 locations because you need replication in research. Replication, it gets rid of some variability. It's usually randomized. It counts as multiple data points, not just one single huge data point. And so you can get more statistical power out of having multiple replications. And I'll even show you kind of the specifics of what goes on with research. And I'll show you specifically how I get my research protocols and those kinds of things. And so I got a protocol sent to me for sampling wheat stem maggot, which I can show you here in a little bit and even show you what those kind of flies end up looking like. And so I really probably should have put, I believe that's on there nice and good now. And then I'm going to take this thing. This thing's kind of like my little like dock, so I can still see what I'm looking at. And so, this is my first time doing a video with the actual camera being on my head. I have not looked at that. And so, what we first see here is my sweep net. This was very nice. One of the extension educators when I first started got me this sweep net, which is really nice. This canvas kind of like bag on the end of it actually helps hold the insects in, unlike some like mesh bags that wouldn't catch anything but maybe like a praying mantis or something that's much larger. Most agronomists you'll find have a field box. This is what I use for my sampling. You can see it's got a bunch of things. This is a drone mat. This is for sampling forages and grazing things. What I am going to do is I am going to grab this here. This here is my protocol for sampling wheat stem maggot in cover crops. And so it's got a little bit of information on what needs to happen with our field and then how to sweep net. And so it specifically says that we need to be taking samples beginning around April 1st. So right now I believe it's April 13th. So we're maybe a little bit behind. But we're close enough. And so we're gonna take 5 different samples from a location 10 to 100 feet away from the field edge. We're gonna get into the canopy and we're gonna place samples from one location in a gallon Ziploc bag. That there is what the wheat stem fly kind of looks like there. And so I'm not gonna identify these because unfortunately I'm not an entomologist. I do really like insects, but I have not been trained in them. And so we're gonna go ahead and take some samples. I do need a bag here though to collect those samples in. And so unfortunately my car is just not quite tall enough. And so we're gonna go ahead and use this bag. We'll label it afterwards. Labeling is extremely important. And so we're gonna go out here, grab this. And so it said 10 feet. We're gonna make it out here a little bit. So this is an irrigated cover crop. Since this has been strip tilled, we're just gonna okay, so we can kind of see, I got a bunch of dirt in there on that one, so we're not gonna take that sample. We're gonna just rotate over, and I'm doing 40 sweeps per section. And so what we would normally do is we'll take the bottom of this bag, put it in here. Oh, we might have actually got a winner.